Hey everybody, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Matt and this channel is all about learning to tie flies. Now the pattern I'm going to be walking through next is called a Renegade. It's a little more popular out west than it is here on the East Coast, but it's a very simple tie, really three components. The defining characteristic is it's got two hackles. It's got a rear hackle, which is a little bit darker, in tonight's case, brown. Then it's got some Peacock herl, and then a lighter colored hackle up front. So if you like fishing dry flies, I think you'll like this one. Let's give it a shot. So there it is in the vise. It doesn't look too small until you show my finger in front of it, because I'm tying this one on a size 16. But as always, I will explain the materials as I go and put the recipe in the description. So like I said, that's a size 16 standard dry fly hook. I'm going to lay down a base of black thread. I'm using 12/aught on this one. You could use 8/aught, that would be fine. Now the first of the three components is your dark hackle. In this case, brown. The dark one goes toward the back, the lighter one goes toward the front. So if you're not using a hackle gauge, just lay it over and pull it down until you find the length you want. Probably about right there. Then I will strip that off. Just give me a few millimeters to tie in. I'm going to catch it in at a 45-degree angle. Take a couple of turns, leave a little bit of bare stem before I start the wraps. Now I'm just going back up here to bury that excess. I could have cut it off, would have been fine. But take your thread back to where we're going to stop this first hackle. Now you'll likely need hackle pliers on this. I'm going to use my spring ones, spring loaded. They get a little bit better grip. Now this is a pretty small feather, so I can't pull it too tight, but you'll want to get as many wraps as you can on here. And probably, if you can get 5, that should get it bushy enough. Try not to let it spin, or they'll do a little bit what they're doing right there. You see some of the fibers sticking forward and some sticking back. Now, we can clean that up in a bit. Any other ones sticking forward will definitely be able to push back and, you know, kind of prop them up with the mid part of the body, which is going to be the Peacock herl. So I haven't been counting my wraps. That's 4. That might be 5. Let's go one more. And then catch this in. Okay. Snip off this excess. We might be able to just push these back and build a little bit of dam before we even tie our Peacock herl in to get these fibers, you know, sticking up perpendicular. The goal is for it to be perpendicular to the hook shank. So let's see if we can do that. Watch the point of your hook. Okay. That looks okay. Now, the mid part of the body is Peacock herl. Now, this is actually a pretty high floating fly, so I'm not sure if the Peacock herl, if you use floatant with it, I'm betting the Peacock herl will never really get into the water. It might just get into the surface film, but many times it's probably just the front hackle and the back hackle holding this thing above the water. So those first couple of wraps I'm going to try to use to push that brown hackle back, and then just wrap up the mid part of the fly to where we're going to start that front hackle, the lighter colored hackle. I'm going to give this a little spin right there. Try to get some of those fibers, a few more of them showing. That is going to be enough right there. Now we didn't have to take too many turns. Your excess peacock herl can tie the next couple of flies most likely. Okay, so caught that in, flattened it out a little bit, create a tie-in point for our front hackle, which I'm going to use a Grizzly. It's going to be lighter than the brown. So I'll do the same thing. I'll pull it, I'll start it to where I think I've got about the right length. I think it's going to be about right there. So I'm going to strip off some of these fibers, get me a bare stem here. Okay, now that is going to be my tie-in point right here. Same thing I did in the back. Leave just a little bit of the stem showing. I've got 3 wraps on right there. I'm going to have to snip this stem off. Now I can bury that, take it up here to where I'm going to finish off this part of the fly. So this feather I've got about 3+ inches, so I'm not going to have to use my hackle pliers here, which when you can get away with that, I think it's a little bit, makes it a little bit easier to lay the hackle down. And about the same amount as you did on the back one. Trying not to mat those down too much. Okay. Now let's catch this one in. And what I will do on these, that's 2 wraps to secure it. I'm going to go ahead and start the head before I snip off this excess. I think it makes it just a little bit easier and maybe a little bit cleaner in the end. So I'm wrapping this up. Got a few fibers sticking forward there. I'm going to have to trim those with scissors. Not a big deal. Now let's whip finish this, and then we'll snip off that excess of that front hackle. Got to be careful with the whip finish. Sometimes I will capture a fiber or 2, and when I secure it, then they're pointing forward, like that one on top right there. But that's easy enough to trim. Now reach in here and snip off this excess. If you have any cleanup, now's the time to do it. So there you have it, folks. Renegade, a pretty easy tie, can be a very effective fly. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.